Well, hello. Welcome to 20 at 10 with Nat. I'm your host, Natalie. My special guest tonight is Stefano Intelisano. He is a recording, collab, and touring artist. He's been touring and, well, currently touring with the Bodines, and he's been working with artists, collaborating, recording, and producing during lockdown. So please welcome my friend Stefano.
Hello,
Hello, welcome.
how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have a few questions for you. You probably already knew this. And one thing, I can't remember if I've already asked you, surely I've already asked you this in our other conversations, but was your first instrument actually piano? Or was it something else?
Yes, I would say piano, um, probably. And wait a second, I'm frozen already. Wow, is everything
Frozen?
good?
I can see you, yes.
Okay, great. Um, of course, everything's been working great during all the setup, and now 1 minute in, that's what happens. Uh, I would say that I had a kind of like a toy organ that was gifted to my older brother, which is at the time I think he was about 5 and I was 3. And
Okay.
he didn't really care much about it, and I was the one that seemed to be more messing around with it, playing with it at 3, kind of barely
Nice.
getting there. And so that kind of sparked an interest in my parents. And I think at around the age of 6 or 7, my grandma, which used to live with us, um, gifted us of a actual piano, an upright piano, and I started taking lessons shortly after classical music lessons.
Okay. Great. While we're here, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge a couple people have mentioned that your sound is really loud. I just adjusted the volume. Is that all right, everybody?
Hello, hello, hello.
I will let them tell me if it's still off balance. Um, okay, so it was actually your brother's instrument, but you were like, "This is cool" at 3.
I think so. I mean, obviously, this is mostly based on things that have been reported to me. I don't recall directly
Right.
uh, from that age. So that's kind of the story I'm told.
Okay.
Um, Also, I mean, I grew up in Italy. That's where I was born and raised. And my grandmother used to take care of me for, I think, most of the day because my parents worked all day.
Right.
And at that age, 3, 4, it wasn't unusual to end up with grandma at church, even during the week, to say, recite the rosary. It was a small town in the country. And so the first music memory that I have was these old women singing at church a cappella, old hymns and Gregorian um, chant and stuff like that. And so I think that what happened is that I was coming home and I was sort of playing by ear those melodies on this little toy, and that little simple melodies.
Oh.
That's what made the little my parents think, okay, let's look into this,
Okay.
because in my family there's not really any musician. I mean, I'm the only one that plays, and if we go back to like my parents and grandparents and all that, I asked once my dad, and he said that he might recall like some uncles or something that were street actors and stuff like that, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I feel a little similar in that there aren't a lot of musicians in my family. Um, how would you say? Would you say then that? better question. Okay. So you found your way to music,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder, is there any part in that story as you're on your musical journey that if this thing had been different, maybe you wouldn't have ended up in music? Does that make sense? Like, is there anything you can point to, a pivotal moment? Like
That's a
for me,
great
I
question.
know I'll give you an example from my life. I was a ballet dancer when I was younger. It's all I wanted to do. I love performing and music, two things that go together. And had I auditioned for things, and had I made it in those areas, I probably would still be dancing, as an example. Like that would have determined my path probably. Is there anything like that for you?
I think that sooner or later music would have showed up anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's one of those areas that maybe the only area that I've always absolutely and totally made mine,
Hmm.
and that I didn't. For example, my family is a lot about visual arts. My parents both used to paint and graphic design, engineering, and I got a lot of that from them. Um,
Creative
Cooking
side.
was passed down. Yeah, a lot of creative sides. But as far as music, it's something that I've always shaped on my own, the way I want it. Even when, um, I was directed a certain way, I would always kind of stir things my way. And so I think at
Do
some point it would have showed up.
That also makes sense to me because I have said something similar. Like we all find our way somehow, but it's just funny to think about how the path might have been different.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
well, what you've had a really exciting career, I think, and you've toured extensively. You've worked with a lot of artists, and you've
Hmm.
even dabbled in producing. Right? You've been producing over COVID. Like what?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What are the things you're most excited about when it comes to production?
Well, it's definitely a new thing for me. I have dipped my feet into production before on a couple of other projects, but this is the first one that I took to a scale of a bit more, I wouldn't say serious, but committed maybe. Um, and the thing I liked about this particular production that happened during COVID is that it took a life of its own, and this particular task happened very organically. It was never imposed or didn't have any feel of, okay, now I'm going to produce this record. Uh,
Right. How did it come
I
about?
I entered this project playing some accordion on it because I was asked by a friend of mine while I was in Italy. So I spent
Which,
nine
side note,
months
okay, so you spent time in Italy.
Yes, I was gonna say, I spent 9 months in Italy during COVID. Um, I thought, while live music, which is most of what I've always done, was not happening anywhere for anyone, might as well be with my family, which I haven't really seen a whole lot in these past 20 years.
Right.
And that
Because
side was wonderful.
you've been in the States for 20 years, right?
20
Side note.
years.
Okay, keep
Yes.
going.
Uh, so while I was there, of course, all the musicians all over the world have reverted at this point to work remotely, teaching, producing, recording, putting out, creating. And a friend of mine there wanted me to play some accordion in this project. So I had to, find an accordion because I have a few accordions here in the US, but none there, ironically. And once I did, um, it really started everything started from that instrument. It was an old instrument that had some sort of a spell And I think I found myself playing things. Maybe it's the fact that I hadn't played in a long time, the fact that I had never recorded in Italy in recent times, that I was out of my usual environment. But I found myself playing things that were unusual and I think very beautiful. Can I say that? Yeah, I said it. And I was very happy with the takes because they sounded fresh and in the moment. And I don't know, it was one of those like really successful studio days where you're having fun, you're with your friends, you are everything is rolling great, and the music is part of it. So in this vibe, around a couple of jokes on the projects, basically my friend was like, look, it sounds like you have a good idea of where this is going and where this should be going and how to actually put things together, because I do have a little bit of experience, and I did want to involve also some musicians from here. It's always been a bit of a dream of mine to blend the two worlds of Italian songwriting and American musicians that I've been involved with. And this was my chance. And I thought, okay, I think this one could actually could happen here. And we started this journey together, and I basically started taking the artistic decisions of this project.
Okay. So is it finished? Like,
all the tracking is finished. So I had to basically coordinate the tracking with doing things one at a time remotely, and coordinate who was available when, and the order of what to do when, what to give to these musicians to play to. It was pretty challenging, but not impossible. It was just a matter of lining things up, a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails. And one piece at a time of this puzzle. And sometimes some pieces would come out, some other would go in. So we start seeing, the bigger picture. And now all the tracking is done, and it's about to be sent to mixing in Texas, and then mastering. And then we'll see how to promote this project, which is a whole new chapter.
Okay, congrats. That sounds really exciting. Are you excited and proud of it?
I'm very, very, very excited, very proud, because I think this represents a lot of things I've always wanted to represent artistically. And it's not my project, is a body of mine, but at the same time, I like that. I think I did a good service in the way he's represented.
Awesome. Laura wants to know where it's being mixed in Texas.
Can you say? Chris Bell in Wimberley.
Okay, cool. We've got a lot of people tuning in. Jim and Kate, Joanna, Sean, Tom, Colin, Corey. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Okay. One thing I like to ask all of my guests, so you probably already know this question, is what is the earliest memory you have of hearing a song and just being captured by it? Like, you loved it. You wanted to keep listening to it. What is that? I want more of that. Any moment like that you can remember? Oh no, did you freeze? Okay. Might have frozen for a moment. Bummer. Okay. Stefano, if you can hear me, maybe restart. And it's cool if you exit and come back, totally fine. This live stream will still be here. Okay, so while Stefano is figuring out his end, Oh
Okay,
wait, you're back.
I'm back. I
Okay.
don't know what happened. Sorry.
Okay. Did you hear my question? The first one.
Yes, so you're talking about a song, not music.
No, it could be a piece of music, like a classical piece of music, just or it could be a performance, just like
Hmm.
you as a kid, wide-eyed,
Yeah.
like, what's happening? I love
Yeah.
this.
I have a clear, definite, specific memory of that. I'll tell you what it
Okay.
is. It is still at church.
Okay.
A lot of kids, most kids, at least in that era, in a small town in Italy, were sent to church on Sunday. Um, and in this little town, uh, the church is about, I don't know, 350 years old, and it's got an old pipe organ.
Ooh,
And
okay.
I think that's the first sound that I heard at all of music like live, being performed live. And that
Okay.
sound really stayed with me. And the different colors of the pipe organ, from the flute to the big, full, all pipes
Right.
sound, very majestic, is really the first memory that I have. So during basically mass, something would be played, maybe at the end, and it would always blow my mind. In fact, I think I had several times. There was this, um, how do you call it, the staircase that goes up this
Oh
way
yeah. Mm-hmm.
to the organ, very narrow, old. And I would want my dad to take me up there and see the organ
To see
player.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to see it. And he had all the levers and the stops and the pedals and all this stuff. It was this giant instrument, actually very interesting, because a pipe organ has a little door and you can step in it and see all the different
Oh.
mechanisms. So, and the smell of really old wood and stain. It was all these sensory, um, just amazing for a kid, to be
Yeah.
that close, experiencing this thing. And
You
and
got
then I
to
became,
watch them play it live up
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
of
that's cool.
course. And I became friends with the organ player. And
Of course.
when he was the military draft, at that time I was 15 years old, and I took his place. Basically, I was the kid that was playing
Oh,
the
nice.
organ at church, and that's how I started. That was basically my first job
Okay.
on Sundays.
Wow, your first job was playing
Yeah,
organ at the church.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. Okay. Cool. Do you still play ever? Like an organ?
Um, well, at the time I used to study classical, so I think I was a lot more in tune and qualified with that kind of music. Now I feel like, which is a paradox, because in theory I'm older and I know more, and
Uh-huh.
but I feel less in touch, or less entitled, or even less, I'll say a strong word, less worthy of
Okay.
sitting in that spot, like,
Okay.
after playing in clubs, and it's like that spot it's got something that is very sacred to me, and
Okay.
that, shouldn't be faked. And
That's
so
fair.
I'm a little more self-conscious about it. But yeah, of course I would like to. And if I do, I'll tell you, the last time I've sat there, it was actually at my grandmother's funeral
Mm.
that was in that church, and I had to play something. I was asked, and I took it
How
very
long
seriously. I
ago?
tried to prepare something. That was 2008. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
How was that playing? My grandma passed last summer and I was asked to play a song at her funeral. How was that? What was that experience like? Not just playing a song at a funeral, but for, someone that you in your family.
Yeah, I was very connected to this person, because she had been the main caretaker of our household for me and my brother growing up. And I felt I was already here. I had been here for 7 years, so I didn't get to see her much, and she was thankfully in good health until the very end. And I felt it was a closing a circle of connection. Like it was a beautiful way to close that. Like, okay, this is kind of where it started, and this is where it ends on this earth.
Yeah.
And it felt kind of, I don't know, like a peaceful.
That makes sense.
Feeling.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, and technically that's performing, but kind of switching gears a little bit to performing on stage. I mean, you've performed in a lot of spaces and a lot of places. What would you say has been your most exhilarating or exciting moment on stage? Is there a wow, this is happening?
Yeah. Well, I've always, I guess all of us musicians dream to play in front of large audiences. And the roar of a place with everyone screaming in the, I don't know, 80,000 people, that kind of size is definitely undescribable, and everything that comes with it, all the aspects of it, all the things that go through your mind while that is happening in the beginning of a concert. So you have 80,000 people there waiting, that have been waiting for hours for one of their favorite artists to come out, someone that keeps them company during the day, in their stressful moment, their happy moment, their sad moment, that they sort of share their emotions with. And in that moment, they have that connection with the live person. It's almost like, I don't know, maybe it's something surreal and beautiful. And so you are part of that. You are part of that transcendent mechanism of connecting these two worlds.
Right.
And so in this particular instance, which was Jason Mraz, the band would come out, the audience gets all like hyped up, and they start screaming, and it's extremely loud, and you feel this giant embrace from all these people that are all pointed at you.
Yeah.
And then while you're playing this introduction, everyone's having fun, I'm with my buddies and we're like smiling big, then the artist comes out and it's like 10 times as much. So it's this like, then for a minute you don't hear anything but just this big noise above everything, and then everything sort of comes down. But that minute is probably some of the strongest, I don't know, levitating feeling that you can experience as a musician.
Cool. What's been the most exhilarating moment of you watching someone on stage, like you being in the audience?
Yeah, I can relate. When you go see your favorite band, you are on the other side, so you know how that feels.
Yeah.
It's excitement, and it's carefully built and it's carefully crafted so that it builds up and it builds up, and then, you know, it's the whole like building the dynamics of a show. Who does it well definitely has an impact.
Yeah. What's been your favorite show to see, to view as an audience?
Oh man, that's tough to say.
Or just one that comes to mind that was really great.
Well, I'd say a band that I've always carried with me since I was little, and we all have one. And you can call it your favorite band, even if it's not really accurate. I would say the band that has that emotional impact on you the most, just because of how you carry them somehow in your life. For me, it's been Toto, which is weird, because as a keyboard player, it's not that weird, because that is a band, it kind of makes sense. It's a band of musicians. But I had a chance to go see them live twice. while I was in Italy, and yeah, it was incredible. It's great.
Cool.
And so I think it's important as a musician to experience, to be on the other side and
Oh, I agree. Yes, absolutely.
experience things as an audience. It
I've seen
dictates
a
a lot of
couple.
choices.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think of a couple more, the couple that are more recent. Probably a moment. Well, just to seeing one of my favorite bands in like a really cool space. I saw Muse at Red Rocks, and that was a really cool show. Not the venue was really awesome, so it's cool when the venue itself is like impressive. But then
Red Rocks is awesome.
Muse, yeah, Muse. I had never seen them live, so that was my first time to see them, and it was at Red Rocks. So it was a
Did
really
you cry?
epic show. I did not cry, but I definitely, and I tried not to take too many videos, but I definitely took a few videos. But it's amazing when you're in the audience and everybody is singing, and also when you know the words and you're singing too. Really great feeling. The only
Yeah.
other time that was maybe even more hair raising, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
was when I saw Casey Musgraves at Stubbs in it was probably 2019, in March of 2019. It was right after she won the Grammys. And then I had bought tickets like 6 months before, and I went, and like the entire show, everybody was singing all of the words. And it was
Amazing.
like, I didn't know all of her,
And
but
she's
it
from
just
East
being
Texas,
there.
so yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
she
But
said was at home.
it just was
So
like, it was really great. Everyone was just really excited, and it was fun to be there because I'm not, I like Casey Musgraves, but I'm not that kind of fan where I know all the words to all of her songs. And it was just like, but that kind of energy is contagious, like everyone was so excited and
yeah.
so happy to be there. So that was a fun show to watch, to be a part
Hmm.
of. um well, I have I might have to decide between two. One of them's a deep question, one of them is not a deep question. What kind of question do you want next?
Uh, let's stay with the deep, and then we'll
Okay, okay.
lighten up.
What is the, like, thinking back over your musical journey, your musical career, what is one of the hardest decisions that you've had to make?
Um, being away from my immediate family for basically a lifetime, or at least until now.
So was that decision the decision to move to the US, or was it a decision to stay? Like, where was
The
did you
decision to
agonize?
stay year after year. The decision to move wasn't very hard, honestly. Even if everyone, I mean, not everyone, but a lot of people I talk to always praise me for how brave I was going on the other side of the world. To me, I mean, when you're in your mid 20s and something gets offered like that, it's just a great
You have to.
opportunity. It's just very lucky. I feel grateful that happened. But then staying year after year after the first impact and understanding what you're dealing with, having to keep this going, and seeing from the distance your parents getting older and things you're missing,
Yeah.
um, friends also. I've never been to one of my good friends' weddings,
Mm.
stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
uh, it's sometimes you wonder, is it worth it? But I bet everyone goes through these decisions and these, um, how do you call it?
Yeah. Path taking a fork in the road, choosing one path
Right.
over another. By
Yeah.
choosing one, you were saying no to the other a lot of times. So, um, well, okay, now I have a not so deep question for you. What is a food or a meal that you are most proud of being able to cook?
Hmm.
Like maybe you make it the best.
I make the best. Believe it or not, it is the most simple and basically pasta dishes you can imagine. To
Okay.
me, it's hard to make them real well.
Okay.
It has a commonality with a lot of things. Maybe playing a 12-bar blues real nice and relaxed is not very easy to do
Okay.
and clean and, so I think I have a lot of mileage in cooking pasta, but it's always a challenge to make it a little better.
Okay.
And I try to keep things simple. And so, I can't think of a specific pasta dish, but um, things are things keep improving.
Okay.
It's great.
Okay. Well, I am not great at cooking pasta. So
Well, you're probably
I
great at
get
cooking
by.
something else.
Maybe. Maybe. Couple things. Okay. Are you ready for the pop questions?
Sure.
Boom. All right. Have you ever changed your name?
No. I had to think for a second. What?
I know. Okay. I I used to perform music under a moniker. I used to perform under the name Crown Magnolia. So, but I
Okay.
didn't like legally change it or anything. I just for a while played under that name. Have you ever flushed something down the toilet you shouldn't have?
Well, I'm sure. I think I probably removed that as soon as I could.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm trying to remember if that's been the case with my phone at some point. Not down,
Oh,
but like,
right.
classic
Dropping
phone.
it.
Oops. Yeah. I
Yep.
think that has happened at some
Yeah.
point.
When I was a
Mhm.
kid, I flushed money down the toilet. Literally flushed money down the toilet. I don't just to see what would happen.
And just to
And
see
then
how
of
it
course
felt
it
like.
disappeared. I was like, it's gone.
Wow.
I know. Have you ever gone to a restaurant, eaten, and then left without paying?
Yes, by mistake.
I
Just
was gonna say on purpose.
no, on purpose I haven't.
What
Just
happened when you
forgot.
figured
I'm
it
in the
out?
car, I'm driving, and I'm like, damn, I didn't pay. But it wasn't, I'll tell you where it was. It was at Whole Foods
Okay.
where, you have to go pay. No one's really checking on you. And you're just in the car and going home, like, I think I haven't paid. And that's the one I can remember.
Okay. Well, do you have a question for me?
I do. The question is, what does, what's the meaning of music in your life?
Whoa. Okay, hold on. The meaning of music?
For you in your life? See, it's not very well placed, but yeah.
Hmm. Music is and the thing is, I would answer this differently on any day. But
Mm-hmm.
today I would say music is something that is a natural expression coming out of me. I'm humming, making up melodies, gibberish nonsense lyrics, whistling, making some kind of music all the time. And it's somehow in letting that expression fall out of me that brings me joy. And I think because of that, it is part of how I'm built. I am built to make music. So when I am doing what I am built to do, it feels good. It also, songwriting is very therapeutic and cathartic because I take things I've experienced or things I see or things I feel and I'm putting all of these different stories and things into songs. And while I'm writing them, I am better understanding them, and I better understand the way that I feel about these things I've observed. And so it's a form of therapy for me too. So those are a couple things I would say about music today.
I like this last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never thought about that, about the lyrics. I've always thought that sometimes we chart songs and we learn them while we're charting them because we kind of like analyze and take things apart. But
Mm-hmm.
it definitely, I'm sure it happens with the lyrics and the whole song putting together process as well.
Yeah.
Becomes clearer and clearer to you.
It's different for different people, but that is definitely true for me. So, okay. Any more questions, or shall I move on to the pop questions?
No, move on. That's the
Okay.
one that
Have you ever drooled on someone?
I'm sure. I'm sure I have. Yeah, a
I've
significant
like
other probably.
I've like fallen asleep on someone and then I wake up and I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
Whoops.
I'm sure I
Whoops.
have.
Whoops. Have you ever Oh, this is a weird question. I'm gonna forego that one. Have you ever been a fan of Twilight? Probably not. The vampire movies?
No, I am
Okay.
totally not a fan of vampire movies or um, what's it called? Um,
Zombies?
Zombies. Yeah,
Okay.
that whole
Genre?
genre just
Yeah.
does not do anything for me.
What about superheroes?
Same.
Uh, nice. Okay. Have you
I,
ever?
yeah.
You have more to say?
No, I was gonna
More.
say it's
Okay.
weird because I feel like I'm the only person in like everyone has superheroes. Like, what's wrong with me? I didn't know I had a childhood or something, but it's true. I've never really could care
So,
less
well,
about.
then, what kind of movies do you go to? Because I like some of those. Are you like a documentary type person, or like what kind of movies do you?
Yeah, I'm afraid I am. Every now and then there's a TV series that will reel me in, but it's every just very rare. Like, but also because I don't have the discipline or the time to the I don't put the time in to really stay with them,
That's
so I don't
fair.
really give it a chance. But if I do, something that is well written, I'll get reeled in. Um, so yeah, I like comedy, drama, things about
Okay.
real life, and also things that are surreal. I like a lot of experimental. I wouldn't know how to call it, especially in English, but like avant-garde movies. I
Oh,
used to
okay,
be a
okay.
lot into that kind of stuff. But the
Like
superhero action stuff, mm,
okay.
not for me.
All right. Last one. Have you ever turned down a wedding proposal? Someone
Not that
ever
I
proposed to
remember.
you to get married?
Not that I remember. If
Cool.
it happened while I was intoxicated, I don't remember.
Ooh,
It
okay.
might have. By because I don't see how else that would have possibly
Happened.
have happened.
I turned
But
down
no.
one in when I was 5.
See, you remember though
Oh yeah,
from when you
he
were
was one of
5.
my yeah, he was one of my friends, and he was like, "Hey,
Oh, poor
you should
guy.
marry me." And I was like, "I don't think we're old enough." I was like, "Nope,
Yeah,
bye."
fair enough. Some
But
people
looking
would say
back,
that
it's
that was wise.
eh, I mean, it's kind of sweet looking back that 5-year-old boy's like, "Will you marry me?" But
Yeah, it is.
that was my response. Was like, I don't think we're old enough. So pretty practical as a 5-year-old. Well, so we talked about this earlier, and I think you were maybe going to play something for us on piano,
Hmm.
possibly. Is that true still?
Yes.
Okay.
It is true. I'm gonna turn this, and there's a piano. Bam! There it is.
Ooh, okay.
And
Well, I'm going to give you the full screen to
okay.
play a tune, and I'm going to disappear for just a couple of minutes. So, but
Okay.
first, I'm going to check. You know what? I have a question. First of all, someone is proposing a cook-off between you and Julia.
Oh,
Oh,
we've done that. We've done that.
oh,
Not
well,
in front
Joanna
of the
was not
camera.
invited, so you're gonna have to do it again. And then Joanna also asks where Crown Magnolia came from, and I will answer that after Stefano plays a song.
Okay.
How about that? All right, I'm gonna give you the screen, and I'll see you in a few.
All right. I'll take these out.
That was lovely.
Thank you.
So lovely. Okay, was this an improvised piece or is this a pre-existing
Yeah, it was
piece?
improvised.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I mean, I was thought, what am I gonna play? What am I gonna play? And then I'm just gonna
Make it up. I love it.
put out whatever comes in, in the moment,
Yeah.
which is kind of I don't know. Lately, I've been trying to do that more and more. Just take a little time to get things out, and maybe exactly like it happens with, I don't know, meditation, I guess. It takes a little bit to get really connected. So usually there's a moment in that time frame that has a real something that is true, you know.
Yeah.
But that moment is worth maybe the effort.
Okay. I like it. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing and improvising and playing that piece. I enjoyed it.
I did too.
Okay. I told Joanna I'd answer her question. Where did Crown Magnolia come from? There is a tree in my parents' front yard, and where I spent most of my pre-adult years when I lived at home, I saw this tree, and it was a very young tree while I was living there, but it's now actually a lot bigger as it happens. And every like end of January or sometime in February, this tree is blooming these giant white flowers with a magenta center, like a pink center. And they're magnolias, but it's a different kind of magnolia because the normal magnolia you think of blooms in June on these huge like banana leaf like type trees. But this crown magnolia tree, it's a different kind of magnolia. It blooms like before it should sometimes because sometimes there's a freeze and all of the flowers die and fall off. But there's no leaves on this tree when the flowers are blooming. It's just a naked tree and then all these beautiful blooms. And it's covered in these giant flowers. And the branches are just so heavy with these flowers. And so I always noticed, and I was thinking about it in my head, like, it's so brave of this tree to bloom such giant blooms in February. Because a lot of times in Texas, like, we'll get a freeze and they'll die. And also for those flowers to be so beautiful, and to me that was a symbol of hope and bravery, courage, and that those are things that I want to be and to embody. I want to be willing to bloom even when it might be too early or the conditions might be dangerous, and I want to bring that kind of hope, like the season is coming and I'm going to bring in the season. And also, it was like the first plant or tree to bloom. And so, like, it's kind of a entrepreneur of blooming, so to speak. And so I just loved all of those aspects about it, what it meant to me. It was the symbol of bravery and hope. And those are things I wanted to be. And also, the flowers are beautiful. And so I called myself Crown Magnolia. And I did that also because I anticipated being a band. I didn't anticipate being a solo artist. But every time I performed, I was playing solo. So finally, when someone asked me, what name do you want us to announce you under? This was like in 2016. I had to think through it and make a decision, and I decided to go under my name, Natalie Price. So, but that's the backstory on Crown Magnolia, is just this beautiful form of a magnolia that blooms like at a crazy time of year, and to me is so hopeful and beautiful.
Nice.
Thanks, Joanna. They are very beautiful flowers. Y'all should look them up. And then Corey asks if what you played was in D minor.
I have no idea. It was all over the place. I really haven't thought about any of that.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, any other questions before I finish this out with a song?
Questions?
Or any other statement before I... And we can chat for a minute when I finish too, but...
I don't know. Have you ever improvised anything? Or do you ever improvise?
Not
You know, in whatever form you feel like,
live.
singing.
Not live in a show. Those are always pre-written and rehearsed. Sometimes it's the first time I've ever played a song in front of other people, but like I've written the song in advance and practiced it. But when I'm songwriting, all of that is improvisation. Because you're creating something that didn't exist before, at least with all of the pieces that you're putting there. So maybe it's a similar melody to something else or similar chord progression. Or maybe it's a similar topic, but it's not usually, it shouldn't be all three of the same, like copying someone else. But songwriting is improvising and putting things together that you haven't put together before. And the songs that you hear on, at least for me, on probably for most songwriters on their albums, are the improvisations that ended up being the most memorable or the most, like, songs you want to play again, I guess. I don't know.
The ones
but
that resonate.
Right, you. But that's maybe a very low form of improvisation. But to me, like at the very beginning, maybe I have a melody and I'm la 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 in the car, and I'm just saying random words that don't make any sense. But I'm trying to remember that melody because it's a good melody, and I want to put something to that. What does that make me feel? And I keep repeating it and I'm pushing it further, but that's not usually something that other people get to hear. It's just something that I'm doing.
I've got another question on this one. Okay. Have you ever woken up and recorded yourself because you got a melody in mind that you don't want to miss and you think it's good?
Yes, and then usually I'll go back and listen to it like the next day or the next week and like, that was not good.
But like, it made sense in that dream.
Yeah, I dreamed it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an anthem that'll change the world. And I like recorded in my phone. I'm like, okay. And then like I'll listen to it later and I'm like, it's not exciting.
Not the same impact.
Yeah, it's not the same impact at all. I was like, wow. That was an intense dream then. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. So yes, the answer is yes. But none of those things, I don't think any of those things have made it into a song that's made it onto an album yet. Is that right? I don't think so. Okay. You ready for a song?
I am.
Okay, I'm gonna take up the whole screen here and I'll bring you back right after.
Okay.
This is called Give a Damn. I'm not your mother. I'm not your lover. I've got no built-in rights. I'm not your father. I'm not your doctor. But I can tell it's serious. Don't say you'll be there soon when you're in a hospital room. I love a good joke, but this one isn't funny. You've got a broken heart. You've got a fucking start letting your friends give a damn. Oh, because I'm a friend and I care about you're worth it. I'm not your mother, I'm not your lover. Oh, but honey, I give a damn.
Let me clap. I was holding a cup.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a very colorful cup.
Oh, look at this. It
Yeah.
is.
I like it.
Well, thank you again so much for being my guest tonight.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Oh, thank you everyone for what's happening. Thank you everyone for tuning into. Joanna, Corey, John, how are you? Jim. Thank you everyone.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. And if you, before everybody disappears, I am dropping in Stefano's links. I also have them in the video description. So find his music and follow him and check it all out.
Thank
Anything else? Anything else, Stefano, you want to say before we part?
No, this is it. I'll probably, as soon as I leave, I'll be like, damn, I should have said that. But I'll try not to do that, to be that guy.
You can just tell me or comment in the thread like 10 seconds after we end.
No, there's nothing that important. I'm pretty
Cool.
sure.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. I'll be here next week with another guest. Hope you all have a safe and fun rest of your week. Have a good one.